pause to break from our usual 1600 for a very special show tonight. We have Pat Denizio from the Smithereens. And they're in town. We're looking forward to seeing them. And Pat's telling us some stories from the old neighborhood.
He's not the only one.
It's Thriller from Manila.
Yeah. Well,
in support.
Yeah, I was looking at the cupcakes on the table, and it reminds me of my first job out of high school. I worked at Ginger Bakery, not unlike Ginger Baker.
Yeah.
And it's funny because my dad was also Ginger Baker's personal bodyguard when they played at Union Catholic High School in our hometown of Scotch Plains.
Too funny.
Cream played, The Who played on the first American tour.
Oh my God.
Vanilla Fudge, Chicago, Sly and the Family Stone, Black Sabbath.
They needed a bodyguard at the Catholic school?
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And my dad, he says, son, I'm going to work tonight. He was a garbage man. You know, we had our own company for years. But he also needed money, so he moonlighted. He was a police officer as well. You know, seeing regular duty back in tumultuous days in the late 60s when we never knew if when he left to go out on patrol if he was coming back or not. It was bad times. And in any event, Cream is coming to Scotch Plains, my hometown, because they play the Fillmore East. And they do a pickup date, and they play the high school. And the high school was really good about having top talent come in. And I said, Dad, can I come with you? Cream, man, white room, sunshine of your love. He goes, no effing way. He goes, they're gonna be smoking
It's
pot.
a good Italian father.
They're gonna be smoking pot all over the place. No way you coming to this. He's choking, right?
Yeah.
And
Just the thought of it.
And he calls me from the venue, and you can hear this furious drumming going on in the background over the payphone. Son, how you doing? I said, you know, it's like if you see the word soprano in the dictionary, my dad's picture's next to it. You know, he looks like one of those guys, but he's not. Son,
the uncle nobody talked about.
Yeah, son, how you doing? I said, Dad, can I come to see Cream? I thought he changed his mind. No effing way you coming to see this man. He was a drummer's high as a kite. He's been on a ride for 40 minutes. He's taken a ride for 40 minutes. And like taking a ride for, you know, meaning a solo. And then there's a band from our hometown of Scotch Plains called the Critters. And they had a big hit with Younger Girl, Mr. Dyingly Sad. These were top 10 hits in the 60s. And the Critters are trying to get in to see Cream. And this is 67. And my dad, and they said, we're the Critters, let us in. I want to get in for free. And my dad goes, I don't care if you're the Banana Creams. You know, like Vanilla Fudge.
Right.
So I'm looking at the cupcakes, and the best courses that I took in high school were DECA, Distributive Education Council of America. It was like for kids that knew they weren't going to college, which I wasn't sure. I wasn't even sure that I was going to graduate until the last day of high school. But I had a math teacher, it was business math, and he goes, you want a job? He goes, I can get you a job at the bakery, you know? So I worked for Mr. L, Mr. Lilioni's, and I was cleaning the pans that they bake, you know, and now you put like buns on a pan or crescent rolls or whatever, and you bake it for an hour. Scraping that stuff off the pan when they, you know, remove the pastry off was
Look
really...
up your arms, though.
Yeah, it did, and I was picking up garbage too. But he said to me, he goes, you need to learn a trade. He goes, I'm going to give you a trade. I'm going to show you how to become a baker, right? And I said, well, it sounds interesting. I'm always into learning something new. I said, what are the hours? He goes, well, you got to start at 2 a.m., you know, but you're done by like, you know, 2 in the afternoon. And I was 18 years old and I couldn't do it. But looking back, I wish I had learned, you know. I mean, it would have been nice to learn a trade. We could play rock and roll, and I could sell baked goods at the shows.
Yeah,
as well, and make a little
what
extra
was
money.
it that got you, you know, started playing in the first place?
I was playing actually pre-Beatles, and I saw a picture of someone in the newspaper. I don't know if it was the Supremes or whoever it was, and they were standing in front of a music stand, looking at sheet music in a recording studio, and the image of the microphone in the foreground. It really, really drove me nuts, and I said, oh, God, I want to do this. But back in those days, they'd have things called clam bakes, and they would be like an outdoor fair where you'd have games of chance and amusements, a lot of food, corn on the cob and all that, and steamers, you know, like steamed
clams.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a private joke we have here at the station.
Well, it was an outdoor event. and it was more toward the fall. It was toward the end of the summer, and this is before the Beatles were even heard of in this country. But there was a band set up on a flatbed truck, and they had matching red Blazers and matching blue Fender guitars, and they were playing. Their amps were powered through a generator, and I remember that the matching Blazers, they had a crest on them, and I don't know what the name of the band was. It could have been
The crest.
yeah,
The Colgates.
yeah, whatever. The Pepsodines, right?
Yeah.
So, but anyway, it was such a joyous, beautiful, loud sound. I was transfixed and just stood there and stared at this band. I don't know. I don't remember whether they were any good or whether they were bad, but that was it for me, And this is when I was buying Sherry by the Four Seasons, Big Girls Don't Cry, Surf City by Jane
I
and
was
Dean.
about 3.
You were 3, a couple years younger than I was at the time.
Yeah.
And
So you got
I was
young.
I was playing guitar before the Beatles actually released "I Want to Hold Your Hand," which ties us in to the new record. Yeah,
The Jersey beat meets the Mercy
yeah.
beat.
Somebody came up with that. A friend
like
of
that.
ours. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And the guys in the band. I mean, you've known them since high school, and you all like hung out.
More or less. It depends on how you look at those things. But I met Dennis when I was 21, our drummer. But he knew the other members of the band since they were all about 9, 10 years old. Growing up in Carteret, New Jersey, which was more of a shot in a beer town, a kind of refinery, blue collar town, populated largely by World War II vets that just wanted a job, a wife, and a happy life. The horrors of war. They didn't come back and talk about
Little
it.
house and some peace and quiet.
Demand that monuments be built. They wanted to forget about it. They never spoke of it. But it was those kind of old-fashioned Americans with different values. That's the kind of tent Carteret was at that time, and we're a product of that. And most of the records we've done are conservative in that sense, and it's a reflection of our upbringing. Conservative in the sense that we love and respect and honor the 3-minute structured pop song. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we were lamenting about the fact that it's a dying art these days, I'm afraid, and that there's so few bands that actually do anything that's pop that has any substance to it whatsoever.
Well, we were sitting.
I can name them on one hand.
We were sitting this morning in a fast food restaurant having breakfast, and I heard a song playing on the music, and I said, "This is the most terrible stuff I've heard." And I said, "And it's obviously, by today's standards, it's a hitter. It wouldn't be on Muzak." And he agreed with me. Thrilla didn't know who it was either, but it's like, it's almost as though they're taking a snapshot of a snapshot of a snapshot of a snapshot, or a Xerox of a Xerox of a style of writing.
American Idol.
Even a band like Nickelback, it sounds like bubblegum music.
Oh, we
to me.
hate them.
No,
They're boring.
They're really phenomenally successful, and even a band like the Killers, I heard it. I think it's shite.
But Green Day, I
I
like.
agree.
Yeah, well, but you got to understand, I was there the first.
Yeah, exactly.
It's great for the kids, but I was there the first time.
It's like if
With
you
the
hear
Jam and the Sex
Yeah.
Pistols,
Right.
Sure.
For me, God bless them. I mean, they made the statement. They seem to have longevity. They've been around about 12 years now.
Well, that's kind of funny because you got kind of lumped in with like this punk and alternative thing, and you guys are pop singers.
Well,
you write a beautiful song with a hook and a groove and 3 minutes, and bam, and it's like, yeah, that was nice.
Well, I've always believed, and again, it was the Beatles who were my rule of thumb. But again, having grown up listening to records by Fats Domino and Little Richard, and Buddy Holly, inheriting my mom's record collection, a collection of 45 songs by the Coasters, Bobby Darin, things like that. I always had a profound respect for anyone that could get in and out within 3 minutes and present something that was beautiful and melodic and had an emotional weight to it, that hit you here, hit you in the heart. And I was always one, I never listened to the lyrics. When I hear a song, I either love it, or you don't. It affects you emotionally, and then you explore the lyrics, unless the lyrics are just very blatant. But it's hard to do in these changing times when people think that, in other words, really talented people don't need to go on American Idol. They find